Welcome to Cineights, where you get to know the best movies and series. Today's video is about the best romantic comedy of all time. Be sure to watch until the end. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video. About Time, 2013. Coming in at number 1 is About Time, starring Domhnall Gleeson and Rachel McAdams as Tim and Mary. What seems like a normal rom-com has a slight sci-fi twist, as Tim has the ability to travel back in time to moments in his own life. Here, time travel is used as a metaphor for how love transcends it. About Time is about love in many forms, from love to family to romantic love. It is about learning to find joy in the simple moments of everyday life and finding the beauty in the ordinary and unassuming things we take for granted. When Harry Met Sally, 1989. What makes When Harry Met Sally so special is that it feels so real. As the titular characters, Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal feel like real people who take the scenic route to happily ever after. Their story feels like it could be that of the next-door neighbors who find love where they least expect it. When Harry Met Sally is ranked as the second best rom-com of all time because it's just romantic and funny and manages to tell a great story while sticking to just those tenets without fanciful bells and whistles for plot enhancement. 500 Days of Summer, 2009. 500 Days of Summer earned its spot in the top 3 in that it provokes a good deal of thought and analysis on what presents as a relatively straightforward and relatable story of being unlucky in love. Joseph Gordon-Levitt's Tom falls madly in love with Zooey Deschanel's noncommittal and aloof Summer, entrapping himself in a self-imposed cycle of unrequited affections. The interesting thing is that Summer is entirely upfront about her intentions from the beginning, so the viewer has to reconcile the image of her they see from Tom's biased point of view versus who she really is as an actual human being with more to offer than dating Tom. The film invites the viewer to sympathize with Tom while also recognizing the pitfalls of his unhealthy dating habits and attachment style. 10 Things I Hate About You, 1999. This romantic comedy can confidently avoid the derision that many teenage films face because the subject matter comes from the imagination of none other than William Shakespeare. A modern reimagining of The Taming of the Shrew, 10 Things I Hate About You follows the Stratford sisters, as the popular youngest sister, Bianca, is banned from dating until her antisocial older sister, Kat, does. Bianca's suitors bribe the infamous school bad boy, Patrick, into winning over the hostile Stratford sister and thus opening the doors for them to pursue Bianca. The film is witty, well-paced, and well cemented in its place as one of the best rom-coms of all time. Crazy Stupid Love, 2011. Crazy Stupid Love has us falling head over heels. An all-star cast that includes Ryan Gosling, Emma Stone, Steve Carell, Julianne Moore, Kevin Bacon, and more. This 2011 rom-com examined love and heartbreak and everything in between. It manages to be a laugh-out-loud comedy while also having genuine moments of profound emotional maturity. The cast all has great chemistry, and the script is incredibly sharp, weaving various story threads together into a satisfying emotional conclusion. Notting Hill, 1999. Notting Hill is particularly fun because it subverts the role played by the male and female characters of a previous Julia Roberts film, Pretty Woman. In this movie, Roberts finds herself leading a life of luxury as Hollywood star Anna Scott. She meets humble bookshop owner Will, diving headfirst into a romance. Anna proves to be a rather flawed leading lady, as Will discovers she is actually cheating with him. She leaves him, leaving Will dejected. Pair reunite once again, only for Anna to once again leave as she blames Will for some unfortunate paparazzi photos. Despite having been burned twice now by this woman, the lovelorn Will continues to chase after Anna until they get there happily ever after. Will is objectively a bit of a pushover and maybe deserves better than some of Anna's worst traits, but he isn't necessarily the ideal catch himself. He's kind, but his personal life is a mess compared to Anna's success. Sleepless in Seattle, 1993. One of many Meg Ryan classics, Sleepless in Seattle follows Meg Ryan's direct and driven Annie as she falls for Sam, a widower who opens up about his feelings on a national radio program. Despite living on opposite coasts, Annie challenges Sam to meet her at the top of the Empire State Building for Valentine's Day. The film captures the essence of a complicated love story where the characters have to make real sacrifices and consequential choices in order to follow their hearts. Ryan's character of Annie is actually already engaged when she falls for Sam, a man whose face she has not yet seen. Sam, on the other hand, struggles with opening himself up to real love once more. Both characters take incredible leaps of faith for love in a storyline that allows viewers to indulge in the sort of reckless whirlwind that would culminate with a kiss upon the iconic Empire State Building. Pretty Woman, 1990. With Julia Roberts, the queen of romantic comedies herself, as leading Lady Vivian, Pretty Woman was bound to be yet another rom-com classic. Alongside a dashing Richard Gere as Edward, the story revolves around Vivian, a sex worker who Edward hires to play his girlfriend for the week. The film begins with Edward unapologetically soliciting sex work without being portrayed as a sleazy or shady individual, and Vivian is likewise portrayed largely as a typical worker just doing her job in an environment that has her a bit out of her depths. Despite the taboo nature of Vivian's occupation and the circumstances of her meeting with Edward, the pair are given a healthy and well-rounded romantic story. One of the best features of the movie is that it portrays the transformation of Vivian's character without belittling her or chastising her for her lifestyle. Overall, the film is a refreshing project for its time and an enduringly enjoyable movie. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, 2003. As per the title of the film, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, the character of Andy fervently attempts to drive a guy to the edge of insanity and far away from her within 10 days of dating. Unbeknownst to her, her chosen victim, Ben, has a quest of his own to fulfill. While she seeks to drive him away within 10 days, he is looking to get her to fall in love within the same time frame. Since their motivations for one another are stark opposites, both of their schemes come to a frustrating stalemate. Motivated by career advancement, both characters lose themselves in this charade until it is no longer a game. When real feelings develop, the characters must confront their truth and reassess what is important to them. There's Something About Mary, 1998. There's Something About Mary is a 90s romantic comedy classic that is still as popular now as it ever was. Mary, played by Cameron Diaz, has her wits and charm to her, making her magic sparkle like a radiant diamond. Ted, played by Ben Stiller, is a decent man with good intentions. Ted longs for Mary before she even realizes it, but he's not the only one. Though the two had a history in high school, it would take more than a prom proposal to win Mary back 13 years later. After hiring a private investigator to learn more about Mary, Ted somehow lands a date with her. He eventually has to ward off another man who is deceiving her, but so is he, and Mary didn't like that once she found out. Mary may have needed time to think her decision through, but ultimately she chooses Ted, and they share a happy ending kiss. The film was also a great success at the box office, garnering $369.9 million. Crazy Rich Asians, 2018. Crazy Rich Asians is a great example of a new era of romantic comedies. Newer projects are placing a greater emphasis on diversity, with this particular film highlighting Asian culture and identities within the context of a classic romantic comedy. Constance Wu plays Rachel Chu, a second-generation Asian-American young woman and mahjong prodigy who teaches at New York University. She has an unassuming but happy romance with Nick Young, blissfully unaware that he is, in fact, from one of the wealthiest families in all of Asia. She discovers the truth when she accompanies him on a trip home to Singapore, and his family reveals they do not find her worthy of the highly desired young heir. Despite being a woman of great beauty and grace, she discovers her husband is cheating on her. Though she is facing her own personal heartbreak, his cousin Astrid defends Rachel. Love and Other Drugs, 2010. Love and Other Drugs stars Anne Hathaway and Jake Gyllenhaal as Maggie and Jamie, a woman suffering from Parkinson's disease and a man working for pharmaceutical giant Pfizer, respectively. The film takes place during the development and marketing of the intimacy pill known as Viagra. The film does a fantastic job of marrying a raw, imperfect romantic storyline with the realities of greater social issues, such as healthcare policies and the realities of disability. Both actors give moving performances in a film that completely subverts the lighthearted expectations one may have for a romantic comedy. Think Like a Man, 2012. Think Like a Man has an all-star cast that will have you laughing from start to finish. They have incredible chemistry together, led by Cedric, played by Kevin Hart. Actors like Taraji P. Henson, Regina Hall, and Michael Ealy also make for exceptional acts. Not to mention, the film's content is a great help for both men and women on how to deal with unwanted and wanted feelings while in a relationship. The film follows a group of longtime girlfriends who get hold of a book by Steve Harvey, explaining how to get around the inevitable acts of a man while in a relationship. This results in their love interests having to band together and come up with ways to take back control. There's heartbreak, intimate connections, and love that doesn't end up lost, making this rom-com not one to miss. Two Night Stand, 2014. Two Night Stand is one of those romantic comedies that everyone can relate to. When Megan, played by Leo Tipton, is urged to make a profile on a dating website after her engagement broke off, she slowly but surely got back into the swing of things. Having run into her ex after not being granted entry to a club because she looked too young, Alec, played by Miles Teller, swoops in and wins her over with all the right words. The two meet online, but Megan goes out of her comfort zone and stays in his apartment for the night. Storm causes Megan to be snowed in at Alec's for more than the initial time she wanted to spend with him. They become close as they learn more in depth about each other. Though unforeseen circumstances arise, the two end up together and share a kiss in the snow, making for a very romantic ending to this comedic and lighthearted film.